Another Bendy and the Ink Machine theory? You betcha! Hey you Prodigies, Charles here, and in this video I'll be sharing with you a Bendy and the Ink Machine conspiracy theory. This one will explain why Bendy may be Joey Drew. If you would like more horror game theories, remember to subscribe and tap that bell, as on top of the many theories I have already made, there will be more to come. Just before we begin, if you think that this video is too long for you, remember to tap Add To and select Watch Later to save your progress. Let's start with what we know. We know that the main character, Henry, was invited to the old cartoon studio, supposedly by Joey Drew. We also know that in order to fix the ink machine, 6 offerings had to be given up, and we learned that Joey Drew said that these offerings are there to appease the gods. When we fix the ink machine and switch the ink pressure on, a 3D Bendy appears to jump scare us. And at the end of chapter 1, Henry is standing in front of a pentagram drawn on the floor as a 3D Bendy appears. Got all those facts? Now let's bring it all together. At the beginning of Bendy chapter 1, it looks like Henry was invited by Joey Drew to see something back at the cartoon studio they used to work at 30 years ago. As we progress through the game, Henry says, "So this is what you wanted me to see," as he enters the ink machine room. This means that Joey may have invited Henry to come and see the ink machine to repair it, as we have already established in our What Happened to Boris the Wolf theory. However, we've already mentioned that the letter might not have been sent by Joey, but rather Bendy. This is because the letter has a stamp from the older days that's fashioned in the Bendy theme. But Bendy as a cartoon had pretty much flopped by this time, so why would this stamp be used or even exist? The cartoonists were not making deadlines, and it looked as if Joey was keeping up the studio purely to continue making offerings to the gods. If you want to learn more about this, check out my Is Joey Drew Dead theory. With that said, let's turn our attention to the ink machine for a moment. 3D Bendy will only appear when the ink machine is fixed and the ink flow is returned to normal. We know that Henry goes to the cartoon studio to see the ink machine, so it is possible that the real purpose for Henry seeing the ink machine is to fix it. If our predictions on Henry being some kind of genius is correct, he would have been invited to the studio for his curious mind and knack for fixing things. In other words, Henry might have been tricked into fixing the ink machine. This brings our attention back to Joey. At the end of chapter 1, 3D Bendy slowly emerges from the shadows and has a human shape, wearing a bow tie and possibly some shoes. This seems very different from the short and chibi-like stature that Bendy has in the posters. So what is up with this? Many Prodigies have pointed out that Joey might be Bendy, and I'm starting to think that this may be the case too. We see many references to classical alchemy in some scenes of the game, especially the pentagram at the end of chapter 1 and the decagram at one part of the chapter 2 trailer. This may all hint towards Joey Drew going out of his way to transmute himself into 3D Bendy, as well as gathering all of the items needed to appease the gods, or in other words, get the ink machine started to perform the alchemic reaction. Joey Drew may have collected other things to help start and complete the process. The 2 most popular things that the Prodigies have pointed out on my chapter 2 trailer analysis was Boris's heart and Bendy Bacon. Joey's strong obsession with keeping the ink machine on may suggest that a steady flow of ink was needed to sustain the alchemic process. Some think that this is there as a kind of blood that helps keep the cartoons alive in their 3D forms. With all of the supernatural phenomena happening at the studio, it might have even been Joey Drew's spirit guiding Henry around in order to fix the ink machine to reanimate the 3D Bendy form. Could this also be the cause of the light turning off when we explore the facility? If this is the case, this may explain why the letter was written in Joey's handwriting and contained the Bendy stamp at the end. It just raises the question of how the letter was sent. Was it sent by the Joey/Bendy hybrid just as he was losing his form? Was it sent by Joey just before successfully completing the alchemic reaction? In either case, who stopped the reaction? The answer may have something to do with Boris the Wolf's death. What do you think? Remember to subscribe and tap that bell for more interesting horror game theories and secrets. If you love horror game theories, be sure to check the description for a link to all of the theories and secrets, and Prodigies, I really hope that these series help you to expand on how you think, so it can help you with how you go about your thinking in your daily lives. See ya! Prodigies. I realize that Bendy and the ink machine is only in its early stages, and many things will change from now until the final version, including chapter 1 itself. I only made this theory because many of the Prodigies wanted to hear my perspective on what is actually going on in the game, and the future chapters changing everything aside, even chapter 1 itself changing could possibly change everything. How do we know how the ink machine even broke in the first place? How will the other characters that we will inevitably meet affect the plot? We'll have to wait and see future chapters to find out. Remember to subscribe and tap that bell for more cool and interesting horror game theories.